Cloak and Dagger, Season 2, Episode 6 Thoughts. This episode is called B-Sides. Besides which. And the, let's see, so the episode is rated TV 14, so will this video be spoilers for everything MCU leading up to and including this episode. And yeah, another episode I love. This might actually be my favorite episode of the show so far. So, yeah, I guess with this one, I pretty much, it really is, like, Tandy is the one major character to really talk about here. I guess I'll try for once to just go completely chronologically. So, before I start, now I do realize, you know, the reason we saw, like, blue and red lights and this dream-like haze. I realized about the haze, but I didn't piece together about the blue and red lights. That is, of course, you know, in the framing device of the episode before this one, you know, yeah, those were the ambulance lights, you know, just barely getting through to Tandy. And here we see, you know, more of the dreamlike vision that she was in that framing device. And yeah, I thought it worked incredibly well. These various, like, takes on, you know, the IMDb page for this episode calls them what ifs, so I think that is, although I suppose, which I guess is probably because, you know, because Marvel Comics, if I call them what ifs, it might cause confusion compared to the actual show that came out after this on Disney Plus, What If. So I suppose I will call them B-sides. Yeah, I thought they did a really great job. Each B-side has something, like, it feels like a slightly misremembered, you know, kind of thing of earlier. That is one thing I want to say before I get to. If this was somebody's first episode and they skipped the previously on, I would love to know what you thought this show was, and if you thought that every episode of the show was like this, and if it inspired you to go back and watch all previous episodes, or it deterred you from watching more of the show at all. Yeah, yes, each of them, like, you know, there are people there that she knows, there are locations, sometimes situations that she knows, but there's always something. I mean, yeah, none of them are quite right, obviously, since we know what you know, unless this was your first episode, you know, we know what is supposed to be, and we know from the start, because of the end of the episode before this one, we know what's actually going on. Which I think gives them a little bit more leeway to go completely off the wall with these, and they take that. And yeah, I think that just about covers, right, yeah. Each time there's at least one major, like, yeah, I guess it's Tandy seeing through the illusion a lot of the time, but yeah, I don't know, maybe some of the time it is, but yeah, so the first one is the one we spend the most time in, and that gets the most detail and texture, where, yeah, like we saw at the end of the episode before this one, Tyrone became a cop. And I love these little things of, like, you know, when Connor, you know, when there's a knock at the door and everybody freezes, especially Tandy, and, you know, it's Connor's. And yeah, you know, for a second there, you're like, is he here to kill Ty? And, you know, yeah, turns out he was, you know, he was late, but he made sure to get there before, you know, before the celebration was entirely over, because he's apparently the mentor, you know, and we're told, yeah, Ty says Connors stopped Billy because he thought he was stealing a car radio, which is definitely, I don't think it's an accident that the word stopped is so close to shot. Because he could have said arrested, for example, but that doesn't rhyme with, a word that means gunning someone down. And let's see, it looks as though Nathan is going to hit Melissa, and both he and Melissa are like, no, it's what are you talking about? It's just confetti, which is very nicely done because hasn't been that many seconds, I guess, since the confetti thing, which was also, if I recall, I think that was specifically Billy. He in this in the B-side, he wasn't shot, he just fired this confetti thing. Confetti cannon? Confetti gun. I don't know what they're called, but yeah. Again, there's other ways to do confetti, but they did specifically choose one that makes that kind of noise. And let's see. Yeah, I appreciate that, like, I will say, at first I thought the idea was just that this was supposed to be like an idealized, like, the what's that thing about, like, opiate of the masses kind of thing, of like using a beautiful fantasy to take away someone's to make them docile. That was what I meant to say. And then we see, each time something goes wrong. At first I was wondering if that was the fact that Tandy was fighting back, but as far as I can tell, Tandy fighting back just meant that they went to a different B-side rather than, the first B-side was, like, Andre would have been perfectly fine if that was what led Tandy into despair. Now, then we have the... I suppose I will just briefly say, I'm not 100% certain if all of the kidnapped girls went through this whole thing, this exact thing, like, obviously without the daggers of light and such, but yeah, other than that, if they were able to, or if the idea is supposed to be that Tandy fights harder, because Andre and Leah in the ambulance both do seem like they're, what's the word? They are not, what's the word? They're surprised by it being this difficult. Although I suppose, is it possible that that was also in her head? Because certainly near the end, when she thinks she escapes, that's still... And I'm also not 100% sure. Maybe they'll explain it in an upcoming episode. Maybe we're just supposed to, fill in our own answers. Or maybe it's explained in the comics or something. As far as I can tell, Andre is why the pain, the despair of the girls he kidnapped is all cataloged. I'm not 100% certain that he actually created the place. Certainly I can see how the fact that Connors has been in limbo for 8 months doesn't mean that, Andre, let's see. Andre could have created it 8 months prior, because he explains in this episode he got the power when, on that night. So, 8 years prior. Yeah, I'm not 100% certain exactly. Connors didn't say anything about seeing Andre in there. Neither did Mayhem, and certainly Tandy didn't see him in there. So, I'm not 100% certain. I suppose it's also possible it's one of those things where did it only exist when Tandy was in there? I think that might, maybe there's a shared one, which was the one where all three of them, Tandy, um, Tandy, Mayhem, and Connors were in the episode before this one, and then not the episode before this one, but the episode before, yeah. Um, and then there's also one that is unique to the person that Andre is currently, despairing, and he accesses that one, but the memories of all these girls go into the regular one. Yeah, I'm not 100% certain how the logistics work out here, but yeah. I think that does bring us to the so yeah, I really appreciate that. Yeah, Tandy is sarcastic even in this, even in the B-side where things, the, and everything was going so well when, everyone's alive and happy, and she's still not completely. And also, I want to say the character's name is Dwayne. That thing with Nathan won't dance, which way too many men refuse to. Like, I will grant, like, I can't imagine ever dancing in public, but if you're just, if it's just the two of you, and your partner wants to dance, and like your apartment or house or something, and no one's watching, if she really wants to, try to make the effort, it's, I was very surprised how much it meant to, one of my exes when, yeah. But yeah, he says no to dancing, so she goes to Dwayne, and he says, "Will you dance with an old woman?" And he says, "No, no such person here, but I'll take a spin with you." Just so smooth, and yeah, it's one of those things. I'm a little too old to be one of these young people, but I'm not quite old enough to be calling them young people either. But I do love seeing young people have that much respect for, I mean, she isn't old. She, I don't know, 40 or something. That's not old. And yeah, it really, they did a great job with the filming and editing, because it really did look like Nathan was about to hit her. And that's the thing. I think the idea is supposed to be that Andre put in these, or maybe it's just that it's going according to his plan, that she sees these dark things even in this seemingly idyllic B-side. But let's see. Then we have the what's the word? Yeah, Tandy and Ty go to get, get something at the store. Yes, it's ice, and yeah, the guy, that the first guy, not the, yeah, the first guy goes from, at first he's just being, slightly creepy, hitting on a complete stranger, but he has to make it racist, and then the I think it's the other guy that's, says, oh, they'll take our women, and then complain that that we are racist, or the world is still racist, or something like that, which I do really appreciate, because that is the kind of thing that racists actually say. Like, so you don't think you're being racist, judging an interracial couple for being an interracial couple? Like, that's just, yeah. It's one of those things, like, just, people can date who they want to. Obvious limitations. Stay within your age range. Ensure consent, stuff like that. But beyond that, yeah, and he sees Ty's gun, and Ty's about to show the badge, but Tandy, has it. I will say I wasn't 100% sure why she dropped the ice. Rather, it seemed like she was trying to just put those bags down without, but then suddenly she's dropping them, and that, I guess they just needed something to explain why he suddenly fires the gun, but yeah. And let's see. I think that pretty much covers that. Right, I appreciate some more of the details of the, that B-side of the fact that, in this reality, Tandy is like, what did they say, prima ballerina of New York, and, Ty went to New York to watch her first two performances, so of course she's gonna go back to New Orleans from New York to celebrate him becoming a cop. Yeah. And let's see. Some fantastic acting in this episode. Like, this is not the first time that the actor playing Nathan Bowen has to, I think this is the first time in one episode where he plays both this really sweet, ideal father type, but also the darker, the abusive Nathan, the real Nathan that Tandy, blocked out of her memories. Let's see. Then we have what was the other thing? Yes, Mina, who now I may have to try to find something else where that actress just consistently plays a badass, because she is just fantastic at it. Which actually, yeah, does segue pretty nicely into, so yeah, Tandy, goes from the Tyrone as a cop B-side into her working at Roxxon B-side. And I thought they did a great job with this little, at first she spends a few seconds confused, and then it sounds like she's still, she says something like, I'm not fixing Roxxon's mistakes, or something like that. And then it leads into her, like, seemingly having accepted this B-side, talking about, actually, yeah, I forget the exact lines, but yeah, the next thing she says makes it sound like, it makes it clear she's not confused anymore. Now, I guess I'm sounding slightly confused. I don't think I got enough sleep last night. Let's see. It's not quite as bad. Like, it's not that I couldn't sleep at all last night. But what's the other thing? We have the this thing of, like, the reason, Tandy says the reason she works at Roxxon is because they, what was it? Some of Dad's old friends still work there, or something like that. And, again, it sounds like, oh, so, in this reality, Nathan died, but no, Nathan, what was it? He quit his job and left for somewhere else, or something like that. And then Tandy, got a job there, and because she doesn't know anyone, and sadly some people are just rude, she struggles to find someone who will help her, and Ty does try, and then Mina shows up. Like, they didn't even change, I don't think they changed much about, like, it really is just her, the way she talks, and, like, her body language, and something like, just, yeah. And they basically did it's like if this was a Star Trek episode, this would be like mirror universe. Like it literally in the real world, she really wants to help Tandy because Nathan. And here she's like, don't think that you can just come in here just because you're Nathan's daughter. She even calls her a Barbie. Which I appreciate that these Marvel shows haven't gone overboard with that. There was at least one of the Marvel Netflix shows that also had someone referred to as a Barbie, but I think these are the only two. And I suppose if you call someone a Barbie today, it's like, wait, are you saying like the doll? Is it like to be a demeaning thing, or are you saying that it's actually, this person is actually surprisingly well crafted, smart, funny, has something to say, and was directed by Greta Gerwig? Like yeah. I'm not saying the movie's perfect. I do think that some of my fellow leftist YouTubers have done really great jobs. A great job, anyway. Forget how the grammar of that works. Pointing out issues with it. I don't think I've heard a single good argument from conservatives, though. But then, what else is new? For that movie, for pretty much anything in the last 40 years. Now, I think that might be... And yeah, to be clear, I'm not saying, those of us on the left are right about everything. Yeah, it goes to, the what's the word? The drilling platform disaster from 8 years ago is like starting to happen, and I think exactly what the stuff that the stuff that Nathan said on the phone is what Tandy is starting to say. It's been a little while since I watched the season 1 season opener, but yeah. Let's see. Yeah, and on several occasions characters will blame Tandy. Mina says everything was going well until you got here. Don't think just because of your father. And Tandy even realized, why do you keep saying that? And Nathan himself says, you are just like your mother. I'm sick of you both embarrassing me, or something like that. This thing of because that is one of her major traumas. Tandy feels like she just hurts the people around her. Which by the end of the episode, one of the characters spells out. I appreciate they didn't feel the need to spell everything out, and I do think I don't know if that's so much it's being spelled out for the audience as more that Tandy's being confronted with that being her big wound. And let's see, right, yeah. One more thing at least about the Thai cop Aroga B-side, the fact that apparently yeah, in addition to Billy wasn't shot that night, Nathan didn't drown in the car, the fact that Tandy was there meant that Connors didn't go too hard on Ty. So there's that thing, oh, did I rescue my rescue dog, or did my rescue dog rescue me? Which is a very sweet sentiment. I've seen some people. Well, let's see. Was it Stephen Hofstetter who was like, "Of course you rescued the rescue dog"? I mean, I think there is some of both, but I appreciate stand-up comedians have to be fairly cynical. Not like I'm never cynical myself. Now, let's see, I think that pretty much brings us to the... I'm not sure I have more to say about the drilling platform B-side, or the... Thai Blue Blood side, B-side. Let's see. Then we have the well, not Blue Blood, Bleeds Blue. I think is that what they say? Those people, some of whom completely misunderstand the point of the Punisher. Let's see. I think that might just be. Yeah. Let's see. Then we have. I think the third B-side is when she is collecting signatures. And yeah, like at first it seems like that is the thing she's doing, but then no, she actually. This is one reality where she is, yeah, stealing people's wallets by bumping into them and stuff like that. And I think they did a really great job. Like when she like almost collapses onto him like that, I thought that was like, and I think it's supposed to. I think it's not just me being sometimes bad at reading these things, but yeah, like oh, is that like because she's struggling back against the mind control? Because that's why she left the other two B-sides. But no, that was just an act. And yeah, it was nice seeing Liam again. I have to wonder if they are gonna. So let's see. There's what 4 more episodes of this season and no further seasons. I'd like to see Liam in the real world in an episode. So I mean, I feel like if anything's gonna get him back, like finding out that Tandy has been kidnapped and might be being trafficked, that's gonna do it. Like I don't blame him for hating her. It was really just her taking away his dreams. Holy crap! But yeah, I think they have really great chemistry, and they do in this B-side as well. And Michaela pops up as his current girlfriend. So again, these B-sides are being populated with people that Tandy knows. And let's see. Is this when she's... Oh, right, there's a little bit more of this B-side before she starts jumping between some of the others. So I will say, I really, really love the writings of Philip K. D-Word, R.I.P. Not claiming that he wasn't problematic, he definitely was, but yeah, big fan of a lot of, pretty much everything I've read that he's written. And this really felt like if he had been alive when this episode came out, it would either have been written by him or he would have been like, did they just rip me off? And I quite appreciate that. Let's see. Then we have she stole Liam's wallet, but he realizes and smartly yells out, "She stole my wallet," probably realizing it's gonna look really, really messed up if he, as a not exactly tiny white guy, is like running towards this somewhat more, slightly smaller and, non-threatening looking, young woman. So, yeah. And she gets to, she runs into Ty, almost literally, and he's, stealing a car, and yeah, it is this thing of like, she keeps meeting Ty in these and trying, being afraid of losing him. He almost got shot when he was a cop. He is one of the people on the platform, and he drives her here at the and each time he trusts her and says nice things to and about her, and each time, she's terrified of losing him. She's terrified of it being her fault if he does, die young. she does still blame herself for her father, which, it's one of those things, like, we got to remember feelings of guilt are not, at least not always, rational or logical, and we have to, we're not going to solve the problem of intense feelings of guilt by acting like, oh, you can just tell someone, no, you shouldn't feel guilty about that, and then move on. No, you have to talk to the person, you have to listen. And yeah, like, obviously she's not to blame for her father's death. Like, certainly Roxanne bears significant responsibility for it, not being careful enough around the black gas thing. But because she was right there, she feels guilty, even though in no way is she guilty. But especially at that age, yeah, you blame yourself for bad things that happen to people you care about. Your brain isn't fully developed yet, like, literally. So it's difficult to grasp that something like that is not your fault. When you are a kid, you are hyper focused on the things you do, because that is, like, for a lot of people, the way that we were raised was, parents and other, authority figures, making a direct connection between the things we kids do and consequences, and sometimes, underlining this was not your fault, but yeah, it's how we learn to relate to the world, for a lot of us. And let's see, I think that does bring us to when she starts jumping between the different ones. So, right, yeah, when she's in the car and, she points out his girlfriend, Michaela. How do I know her name? And, Ty, at first Ty is like, well, I don't know, I mean, I guess she said it, and no, she did not say it. Ty, she did not say it. How do you know my name? Just, yeah, breaking through the illusion. Right, and now we do know why, when Tandy watched the hopes and dreams of one of the other girls, all that was there was the what's the word? The windows at the back of the ambulance. She can't see anything else. In her hopes and dreams, this is how Andre left them in despair. And yeah, we find out Andre, that was also because of the gas. So yeah, starting to get a little bit of a, like, a Smallville vibe. Like, I didn't watch all of that show. I have no idea how much I watched. I don't know. If I had to guess, maybe between 2 and 4 seasons or so. And certainly I remember a bunch of the bad guys on that. It starts with kryptonite, and yeah. I mean, so far, okay, so the titular heroic duo got their powers from the gas. Mayhem was created by the gas. Andre was created by the gas. This is a lot for a fairly short amount of time. But then, it works. It's a way to explain, because you do kind of need to explain, where are these superpowers coming from? And is one of those things. If this show does not reference the movies much at all. Let's see. There's been references to the Marvel Netflix shows. There was a reference to Ben Urich, one to Misty Knight, but both of them connected to Bridget. I'm not sure, and Roxanne had appeared in, like, Iron Man 3 by this point, but it doesn't really, the Marvel the Marvel Netflix shows, or Netflix Marvel shows, do reference the MCU movies. I don't think this one really has so far, so they couldn't really use one of those. Let's see, but every so often Tandy sees Andre, and I also quite appreciate, like, at first it's just really creepy with the gloves, and then he explained, no, like, fingerprints, which, like, yeah, I hear that is a thing. gotta say, I cannot at this point look at someone putting a record on, like an LP on one of those classic players, even when it's this creepy, without like getting nostalgic for, when I was a kid, my father would play Elvis and Beatles and also some Danish rock. Kind of preferred the Elvis and Beatles, but yeah, on a record player like that. And I doubt, I think the records, and I'm fairly confident we don't have the player anymore. I'm not sure we have the records anymore either, which, today, like, it's not like, I mean, I can find the music online, so it's not exactly it's not like I'm doing without the music specifically, but I don't know, there was just something special about, readying the record player, carefully placing it, turning it on, putting the needle on, and that distinct, I think they're called pops of the LP playing the groove, other than the music. But anyway, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I thought that was a really great reveal. I wasn't sure before the reveal if Andre, wow, if Andre was going to turn out to be evil. And, we get that thing about, like, oh, I helped 90% of the people, it's 10% of a plan to leave others in despair, and it helps me, it makes me feel less pain. Just, yeah, classic kind of, like, justifying evil behavior. It helps me. And I don't do it that much, kind of, just, yeah, as if those 90% could make up for those 10%. Now, I think that... Right, so yeah, I've said most of what I wanted to about when Tandy goes back to the, yeah, the B-side where Ty's a cop. And, yeah, I continue to really enjoy, like, if they ever did, like, a spin-off of this show, I could enjoy just, like, buddy comedy between Tandy and Evita, because I really, really enjoy when Evita is, like, calling out Tandy and trying to explain why, and calling, yeah, the descriptions she gives and such. That was really great. Let's see. Right, and yeah, even Auntie Chantel was there at the celebration of Ty being a cop. And let's see, the yeah, I think that covers that one. Then we have a little bit more. Yeah, I think I've said pretty much everything I had about when she returns to the drilling explosion. I like that she came out of the core room, like, specifically, yeah, which is, we found out in an earlier episode, that was where the problem could be solved. That was how they got Ivan, yeah, out of that whole thing, out of his mind prison. I feel like there was at least one more thing, but not about that one. No, then we have the B-side of the, yeah, suddenly, like, Tandy gets, like, very meta and starts accidentally saying the things, she's like, I'm just flirting with your boyfriend to distract him, and then, they see her holding the wallet rather than realize it must be missing after walking away from her, stuff like that. And... Right, I quite like when, at one point, we see Andre give, or, well, yeah, either Leah or Andre give Tandy another shot. And let's see, we have the thing of the, what's the word? Yeah, not long after we see Tandy, like, rubbing the sore spot from the shot. And in the B-side, I think it's Ty suggests, are you on drugs or something? Just yeah. And also that detail of, my brother went in, was it a bike thief came out an addict. He was an addict. Is he clean? No. And they don't need to say anything more. Lots and lots of drug addicts die an early death, and that does not justify the war on drugs, which, if you read up on, if you read stuff that isn't pro war on drugs, government propaganda, then you're going to, not always made by the government, but always, supporting the government in that, you'll realize it was from the very start. It wasn't about solving that problem. But I appreciate they didn't feel the need to have either of them say, he's dead. And I guess that does pretty much cover. I thought I really appreciate that they actually, I thought that by the end of the episode she might have escaped in some way, and for her to be by the end of the episode Andre broke her, so and they got her to the motel. That clearly that's where they're going to force her into sex work, or I guess possibly keep her until she recovers slightly or something like that. But based on this episode, I would definitely say Michaela fought back against the injections she was given, and I guess Passenger was lying about them not giving her anything. And or I guess maybe she was put in more than one ambulance, maybe, or given the drug before she was put on the ambulance. There's a couple of different ways that could go. And she fought back. She ended up in a coma because of it, and that's how that happened. I really thought they did a great job on the apparent escape by Tandy, because the way it was shot and edited, it felt like there's something off. This doesn't completely feel, and I think on some level Tandy realizes too. I think that's why it's shot and edited that way. She just doesn't want to admit it yet. And we even get, the deceptive, we see Ty by himself, so it's like, well, it can't be all in Tandy's head. Why would she be seeing this kind of thing? But it's her trying desperately to get out. And let's see, she imagines, them. Let's see. Bridget calls the cops to deal with, the situation, and then Tandy and Tyrone go for Andre, but Leah has Michaela hostage, and it's great with we just get that one line. It sure is lucky Michaela showed up early for her first day back, which does sound plausible and explains, because without that line, it's like, okay, why is Michaela there? Come on now. But and Andre shoots Ty, just like he clearly intended for Ty to get shot in the first of the B-sides. And clever that she thought that she could escape by destroying the record player, but he had more than one. And just the what's the word, just devastating to see that she does eventually succumb to his control and end up in despair. And let's see, I'm so glad that this is one of those shows that can actually show some blood, because really, really, like, again, I'm not saying I enjoy watching it, but I do think it was very impactful to see all that blood after Ty was shot. Like, if you haven't watched this episode in a while, you might have forgotten. There's a pretty significant amount of blood. You know, which just really underlines how guilty Tandy feels. And I think that does cover everything. So yeah, right. In the episode before this one, Leah says, you know, then I met. I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. Then I met Andre, and he helped me. You know, and I think she might have even said, you know, he helped me out of this or something. But you know, yeah, he did help her, but not quite in the way that we were thinking. That's when she started the trafficking. You know, the trafficking genuinely might not have anything to do with Eric. Not Eric, Andre. And yeah, I think that might just about cover that. That might just about cover all. IMDb trivia notes that, let's see, one of the sets of records is labeled Demita Jackson. This is a reference to Janet Demita Joe Jackson. Janet Jackson. Yeah, gonna try to do an episode tomorrow. Failing that, almost definitely Sunday. Really, I can hardly wait to see how this ends. Yeah. I'm so happy with how the vast majority of the Marvel shows I've watched so far have turned out.